Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to a cluckin' good time here at the Jayda InStitches show. It's that time of year. I've had a lot of chicken stuff in my feed lately, and a lot of you have been sending me different chicken projects. So I thought it was time to, since we're into our 12th year here at the Jayda InStitches show. We've officially had full 11 years pass, but we are in our 12th year. We have decided we're going to celebrate some 10-year milestones for a whole bunch of things that we did in 2015. And if you've been watching the show, you're watching the posts, you've sort of seen some of that stuff popping up over the last couple months. One of the things is the first ever crochet ebook we wrote was for our farm friends. There are 4 little characters, a barn carrying case, a play mat, hay bales, little flowers, a whole bunch of cute things in that. It's an ebook that we did back in 2015, and the whole idea is that it's a play set that is, some farm friends, some farm animals, a chicken, cow, horse, pig, stuff like that. Anyway, I thought today we would visit the chicken. So we do have the ebook up in the shop, and the individual patterns, there's the horse is on its own, the cow is on its own, and then we also grouped the chicken and pig together as a separate pattern. And for the 2025 10-year anniversary of this project, we've refreshed the ebook a little bit, just kind of tidied it up, made it look a little bit more modern because we've changed a lot here in the 10 years since we wrote that up. And we also refreshed a little chicken and pig pattern just to make it a little more streamlined. So those are today's sneaky sales. You'll find them up top in the featured listings area of our Etsy shop. Link, as usual, is in the description box or floating around in the live chat possibly. And if you want to follow along, I'm going to explain how to make this little guy the typical way. This is the old amigurumi way. This is the way I made him originally, using a size 4 medium weight yarn. I used acrylic, but you could use cotton or wool. It's a scrap project, so it doesn't really matter what fiber you use, but this is a size 4 medium weight yarn. He needs around 18 yards of white, maybe less. And I'd have about 2 yards each of the red and the yellow, or whatever color you want to make his comb and or her beak. I guess this is a little girl. She's got 2 wings, a tail, a comb, a beak, and a couple of beads for eyes. So if you want to add beads, you're going to need a safety, or I should say a needle and thread. These are little 5mm beads, 5mm diameter beads, so nothing fancy here. But I thought, since, we're refreshing things, we're 10 years into this little this little fun experiment we call the Crochet Channel. And since I did this in the old school amigurumi way, which is to make, amigurumi basically means a small toy. I wanted to, 2025 her and make her plush. So today I'm going to use Bernat Blanket yarn, the size 6 super bulky polyester stuff, to make a plush version of this. So I'm going to use the same pattern, but I'm going to upsize her. So if you want to make the little amigurumi version, and she's, what are we looking at here? About a little less than 4 inches tall. She's almost 4 inches tall from the top of her comb down to her little bottom. So not very big at all. That's 10 centimeters for the rest of us who use metric. So she's not very tall, but she's a good little amigurumi size. So 12 yards white, 2 yards each of your other 2 colors, needle and thread, and a 4mm hook, also known as a G or a 6. That's if you want to make the little version. If you want to make the big plush version along with me today, I'm going to use my 8mm hook, my size 6 super bulky polyester blanket yarn. I've got white, and I fished out some dark pink and some orange that I'm going to use for her other little bits. I don't have a bright red, but since this is kind of an Eastery project, I think leaning into the pinks is probably okay. Pair of scissors, large-eyed needle so I can weave in my tails. Stitch marker might be handy for those of you who need to keep track of rows, although I do feel like it's easier to count in this little project. And I've also got a jar of big beads here for her eyes. I'll pick those out later. I'm going to stitch those on using some crochet thread because it's stronger and I don't have to sew as much. And you're going to need stuffing. Stuffing can be anything. It can have, it can be polyester fiber fill, like pillow stuffing. It can be leftover yarn. It can be, in my case, I'm going to use some fabric scraps that I've got just off to the side here today. And that's it. So here we go. Let's start a chicken. I'm going to leave her on the camera. I'm going to put all of my other little bits and bobs off to the side. So like I said, if you want to make the small version, 4mm hook, size 4 medium weight yarn. If you want to make the big version, 8mm hook or an L, and some big bulky weight yarn. And we will do the stuffing when we get to it. I made her, I just stitched her up just ahead of the live stream, so it really doesn't take very long. I should think we should be able to get her made in today's hour. So here we go. I'm going to pull out some of this yarn to get going. We're going to start with her little body. We're going to make her body first. Let me find the edge of my yarn here. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. I hope you all had a lovely weekend and that you're looking forward to the last week of February. Cheers to that. I am so glad the spring is on its way. Okay, here we go. We're going to start with a cinch circle. So nice and easy, we're going to cross our yarn to make a circle. Hook goes through, grabs the yarn, pulls it back, chain 1, that secures it. And then we're going to work the first few stitches of row 1 over top of that short tail. There are 6 single crochet in row 1. Now, like I said, if you're making this with size 4 medium weight and the smaller hook, the pattern is exactly the same. You've just either upsized your yarn and hook like I've done today, or you've downsized your yarn and hook. If you want to make a plush version of this, I recommend making a mini version first so you can become comfortable with the pattern, because using the plush blanket yarn, it's not always as easy to see your stitches. It helps to be familiar with the pattern and familiar with the look of stitches. So for example, there's 1 stitch, there's 2, there's 3, 4, 5, and number 6 over here, just underneath my hook. 6 single crochet in row 1, pull it tight to cinch up that circle. We're not joining rows. We are not joining with a slip stitch. We are not chaining 1 to begin a new row. We're working in the round. So this little doll is made in the round, so you don't have any seams. That's the whole point of that. So we're going to work directly into what was the first stitch right here of row 1. We're going to work 2 single crochet in each stitch all the way around for row 2. This is where you want to engage your stitch marker. So 2 single crochet in the first stitch. And then that helps not only give you a visual indicator of where the beginning / end of the row is, it sort of takes your brain, gives you a chance to just concentrate on stitches. You don't have to worry so much about counting or keeping track. So 2 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. We'll have 12 stitches at the end of row 2. I'm working over top of my short tail. You do not have to. You can just leave it out and it will become part of the inside of the chicken later on. So don't worry if you don't want to work over top of the short tail. You do not have to. I'm just in the habit of doing it. I also feel it kind of gets it out of the way. So at the end of row 2, you now have 12 stitches all the way around. Just to let you know, we are starting at the top of the head and working our way down. Marie says, I purchased the farm ebook over a year ago. Can I download the updated version without buying it again? Yes, you can. You should be able to go into your receipt and download the file again. The file should be updated because the listing hasn't changed. And if you have any trouble with that, just let us know at the Etsy shop and we'll help you out. No problem. For rows 3, 4, and 5, we're just going to single crochet in every single stitch all the way around. So I'm going to put in the first stitch of row 3, put my stitch marker on it, and single crochet in each stitch. It is not as easy to see these stitches, but you do feel them. And working with blanket yarn becomes very much just sort of feeling your way around. You can feel them. They, if you sort of stretch your hook to about where you think the next stitch will be, it'll be right there. There we go. And you can always just count. So that was row 3. I'm doing row 4 now, so that's the first stitch of row 4. Free up some yarn here. And we have a membership milestone from Nala and Simba. Hello! Nala and Simba have been a member for, oh, she retracted her message. I almost saw it. 18 months. Thank you very much for being a member. And that is the end of row 4. I see Melissa has gifted a membership. Thank you so much, Melissa. Melissa's in the chat here, gifting memberships. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Penny has won it. Congratulations, Penny. You can count your rows. Find the first little row at the top. It's that little kind of bubbly round one. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've completed 4 rows. I've got 1 more row to do of solid single crochet in each stitch all the way around. So that's the first stitch of row 5. And that's the last stitch of row 5. Still have 12 stitches in each row. This is her little head and neck. So it's this portion here. See how much bigger it is just by upsizing your hook and yarn. No need to change the actual pattern. I just love that about amigurumi. All right, I'm gonna just pull out all of this yarn here. So I've got myself a little bit of slack. Now we're gonna do some interesting counting. So Nala is asking, can I hold 2 strands of size 4 instead of blanket yarn? Yes, absolutely. If you're going to use the size L hook, the 8mm, then depending on the thickness of your size 4 weight yarn, you might want to do 3 strands. I'll leave that up to you. What you want though is tight stitching. You don't want to be able to see through your single crochet stitches. So if you can get that kind of tight stitching with 2 strands held together, perfect. If you need 3 strands held together, that's fine too. There's no rule to the number of strands you hold together. You just want to get a certain thickness of stitchery. So you don't want to be able to see through it. So 2 or 3, whatever you need in order to get a nice thick stitch so that you don't see spaces between your stitches. And all right, so row 6. Now we have to pay attention a little bit. Definitely you want to engage your stitch marker if you haven't been using it so far. What we're going to do now is to start to expand for her little back. So we aren't doing, this whole thing is made in one piece. So we've just done her head and neck. Now we want to expand outwards to create her little back. So here we go. We're going to do a little bit of creative counting. This is row 6, beginning of row 6. We are going to work 2 single crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. So 2 single crochet in the first stitch. I'm going to put my stitch marker back in. That's the first stitch of row 6. 2 single crochet in the second stitch. 2 single crochet in the third stitch, and 2 single crochet in the fourth stitch. So I'm going to pause and let you catch up. That's 2 single crochet in each of the first 4 stitches of the row. Melissa, member for 18 months with a membership milestone. Thank you, Melissa. Melissa's back again. I'm glad to be here. I've missed quite a few live streams. Thanks for everything that you do. Jayda, I recommend you to everyone I can. Thank you so much, Melissa. Thank you. I'm so glad you were able to make a live stream. We didn't make the live stream last week. I know a lot of you are probably still digging out from the absolutely mental winter weather we've been having all across North America. It's been cold, it's been snowy, it's been icy. It's been ludicrous. So I'm actually staring out the window at an absolute, just a glacier of snow. I can't believe how much snow has fallen. So frankly, we're glad to be here too. All right. That's the first 4 stitches of row 6, in which we worked 2 single crochet in each of those 4 stitches. You'll have 8 stitches left in that row. You're going to work 1 single crochet in each of those 8 stitches. So that's 1 single crochet in each of the remaining 8 stitches of the row. That gives us a stitch count of 16. So what we've done is we've kept it flat along the front, kept it flat, see that? But we are starting to expand back here, all right? So this is how you shape for amigurumi. All right, that's row 6. We are 16 stitches in. Row 7, we're going to continue with the little increase. Keep your stitch markers handy. Here we go. Across the next 8 stitches, we're going to make a little increase pattern. So it'll be pretty familiar. So it's 2 single crochet in the first stitch. And I'm going to put my stitch marker back in on stitch number 1. 1 single crochet in the next stitch. 2 single crochet in the next stitch. 1 single crochet in the next stitch. So this little pattern of 2, 1, 2, 1, we do it 4 times total. 2 single crochet in the next stitch. 1 single crochet in the stitch after that. And then once more, 2 and 1. And thanks to the magic of math, we will have 8 stitches left in the row. You work a single crochet in each of those remaining 8 stitches. All right. So again, you can sort of see that that's the head and the neck, and we're starting to get a little bit bigger out the side to create her back. All right. Crocus says they've had 8 days of bright sunshine. That's lovely. We really need the sunlight. It's very sunny here today, so we're quite happy to have that. Okay, so that was row 7. At the end of row 7, you've got 20 stitches. We're going to continue with that little increase pattern once more. So for row 8, again, now it was 4 stitches to start with, then it became 8 that we worked over, and now we're working over top of 12 stitches. We're going to work 2 single crochet in the first stitch. Again, you're going to put that little stitch marker back in. Single crochet once in each of the next 2. So that little pattern of 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, you do that 4 times total. 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2, 1, and 1, and then 2, 1, and 1. And once again, due to the magic of math, that will leave us with 8 stitches left in the row. I'm going to give myself a little bit more slack here. At the end of row 8, we'll be up to 24 stitches all the way around, and we will definitely have the top half of a chicken. All right, so there we go. Again, for a little comparison, that's her head and the top of her back. And if you're making it in size 4 medium weight, you're about to here, and it looks like this. The bulky is so much larger. That's her head, and we've started out her little back. All right, that was the end of row 8. That's 24 stitches all the way around. And now for rows 9, 10, and 11, so 3 rows total, you're going to single crochet in every stitch all the way around. So I'm going to mark the first stitch of the row so I can keep track. And it's 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. So we're just building up her body now. You're going to have 24 stitches in each of these 3 rows. So rows 9, 10, and 11. Single crochet in every stitch all the way around so that we can build up our little body. this little chicken plush will not be quite so little. And I think it'll just be adorable. You can, of course, use safety eyes with a plush this large. I recommend safety eyes on amigurumi for children that are over the age of 6, just because little children pull things out. Amigurumi safety eyes can still be pulled out despite your best efforts through stitchery, so be very careful if you're using safety eyes. And pets will try to pull them out too. So safety eyes on crochet or knitting are best in households of older children with no chewing pets. That was the end of row 9. We've got 2 more rows of just straight single crochet to go, row 10 and row 11. And again, I am marking the first stitch of the row with my stitch marker. Oops, sorry. So that I can keep track, and I don't really have to think about counting. I just have to sort of feel for that next stitch. Also, with amigurumi, you'll be given stitch counts, and those are great. They're very, it's important to try and follow stitch counts. But the important thing I always say with amigurumi is less so much about the counting and more about the shaping. You're going for a shape. So if you can get the shape and you're like a stitch off here or there, then it doesn't really matter so long as it still looks like the shape you're going for. All right, there's still 24 stitches in each row. I need to give myself a little more slack. That was the end of row 10. Row 11, 1 more row of just straight single crochet all the way around. I'm definitely going to be making a few of these chickens in some of my my more Eastery colors. I thought it would be really cute to have a set of Easter plush chickens that were like lilac and pink. So check back in a while for that, because I totally want to do that. I almost did that today, but I realized I had this nice plushy white yarn. I thought, oh, I can't resist. I have to make a big white chicken. She's probably going to nest in my kitchen because I just love the quirk factor of this. And just to reiterate, the chicken plush pattern is available for sale in our Etsy shop. It's the Farm Friends Chicken Amigurumi. She's looped in or lumped in with the piggy, which we will definitely do a tutorial for as well. Or you can just get the whole Farm Friends ebook, and we've refreshed it for the 10-year anniversary. And they are up top in the shop, and a gigantic thank you if you do. Mela! Hello, Mela! Mela's here with a super membership milestone. Mela has been a member for 36 months. Thank you so much, Mela. Mela says, birthday was the 16th. Well, happy birthday. Friends gave me 20 skeins of Red Heart Biddy stripes in different colors that can be matched, planning a king-sized granny square blanket. Ooh! Biddy stripes! I haven't seen that stuff yet. That sounds cute. I guess they're like shorter happening stripes as opposed to longer ones. I like the sound of that. Nice, nice, nice. All right. That is the end of row 11. Still have 24 stitches in each row. Now we want to even up the edge a little bit. So not a big deal. We're just going to single crochet into each of the next 3 or 4 stitches. And this just kind of helps even up the bottom edge of the row. Basically what you want is to be in alignment with where row 1 turns into row 2. So if you can just sort of see that, it's easier to see usually on the amigurumi that's made with like the size 4 yarn. But I'm just going to bring it up to that. That's about right. A couple more stitches just to sort of even things up. And I'm giving myself a little more slack here in that yarn. All right, we are now heading into row 12. We are going to start to make her smaller. So we're going to close in the bottom now. Row 12, we do a little bit of decreasing. We're going to single crochet 2 stitches together and single crochet into the next 2 stitches. And we're going to do that 6 times. So we're going to do that all the way around. So we're completely closing in the entire bottom of the chicken now. So you can do the tiny version. So you can do this version where you pick up a loop in each of the next 2 stitches, yarn over, pull back through everything. Or you can do that thing where you pick up the front facing loops of each of the next 2 stitches and then yarn over and single crochet that way. Doesn't matter which way you want to do it. It's all single crochet 2 stitches together, but definitely mark the first stitch of the row, which will be single crochet 2 stitches together. And then you're going to single crochet into the next 2 stitches. So just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to do I'll try to keep them all the same in this row. So I'm going to pick up the front facing loops of the next 2 stitches because it's not that easy to see. There we go. So that's single crochet 2 stitches together and then single crochet once into each of the next 2. And you're doing it 6 times total, or if you're using the stitch marker, you just keep repeating that little decreasing pattern until you get all the way back around to your stitch marker again. So again, I like the stitch marker. It kind of frees up your brain to just concentrate on making the stitches properly. So I've done that little decreasing pattern 3 times. I've got 3 more sets to do. Single crochet 2 stitches together, single crochet once into each of the next 2 stitches. And I find just grabbing the loop and slipping it onto the hook is a little easier with the bigger plush yarn. So again, I'm grabbing the front facing loop of the stitch for the next 2 stitches and then single crochet into the next 2. So there we go. That is 2 single crochet, or crochet 2 stitches together, single crochet once into each of the next 2, repeated 6 times. And now at the end of row 12, we're down to 18 stitches all the way around. We're going to do 1 more row of decrease, and then we're going to stuff our little chicken here. Rudy says that the counting is a challenge. Yeah, that's why I find using the stitch marker at the beginning of the row is great, because then you just have to focus on the individual little increase or decrease pattern, and you don't have to also count how many times you've done it if you've got the stitch marker indicating where the beginning of the row is. You just have to focus on the individual like sets. So I find that really helpful. All right, here we go. Good morning, everybody. If you're just joining us, we are making a fluffy little chicken here, just in time for the Easter spring season. And it's the plush version of this little guy. So if you're making this with regular size 4 medium weight yarn, to make a small one, a classic amigurumi, you want to use a 4mm hook or a G6 hook. And you don't need very much. White, red, a couple of yards of your red and yellow, about 12 to 15, under 20 yards of white for the rest of the chicken. I'm using the super size 6 bulky blanket yarn, the fluffy stuff today. This is the polyester blanket yarn. And same pattern, I'm just using an 8mm hook to upsize it. And yes, one of the earlier questions was, can I just hold a couple strands of the size 4 together? Of course! 2 or 3, whichever suits your tension best. And the pattern does not change. So if you're using thick yarn or thin yarn, it's still the same pattern. All right, we have finished row 12. We are doing row 13. We want to do single crochet 2 stitches together, single crochet once into the next stitch. That's a little decrease pattern. I might just do the old school single crochet 2 stitches together for this row, because why not? So I pick up a loop in each of the next 2 stitches completely, yarn over, pull back through everything. I have absolutely no issues mixing my single crochet 2 together stitches together. So I used the front facing loop version of it in the previous row. I'm going to use the whole stitch in this row. Picking up a loop in each of the next 2 stitches, yarn over, single crochet 2 together. Single crochet as normal in the next stitch, single crochet 2 stitches together, single crochet 1. We are working a little decrease pattern all the way around. It's still a decrease you're going to do the little decrease 6 times. So it's the same number of decreases. It's just that there are fewer regular single crochets between them. Single crochet 2 stitches together, single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet 2 stitches together, and single crochet into the next stitch, which is also the last stitch. So that's the end of row 13. That was the end of row 13. We're down to 12 stitches. Now, I'm going to take out my stitch marker, pull up on that loop, take the opportunity to give myself a little more slack, and try to keep this from knotting up on me. Okay. There we go. So now we're going to stuff our chicken. I'm using some leftover, I've got all kinds of white fabric here. I took apart an old curtain, which was originally a bedspread. I recycle and then recycle again. So I'm going to use fabric for this, and one of the reasons I'm using fabric is A, it's white, and B, it's light, so I can use little pieces of it. I can rip it if I have to, which is such a satisfying thing to do. I've also got my scissors on standby, and I can also layer it in if I need to. Basically, this isn't very thick, so that's such a nice sound. I'm going to push little pieces in. You stuff up in the head first. Don't stuff it too much because you don't want to see the stuffing through your stitches. But don't stuff it so lightly that it's just too squishy and it doesn't hold its shape. So start at the top, feel your way around. Let's get these guys out of the way. And then one of the things I like to do if I'm using fabric is to kind of like layer it in. Hold my yarn out of the way. Of course, you can use polyester fiber fill, the pillow stuffing, if you've got that. You can use old quilt batting if you've got some extras lying around from a quilting project. You can use leftover yarn, chopped up t-shirt, chopped up socks. Just make sure they're clean first. All right, let's see here. And you don't want to overstuff the bottom because she needs to be able to sit flat. This is so cute. Okay, I think I need a little bit more. So let's grab some at the bottom here. Oh, that's a good chunk. That's a good chunk. There we go. Penny says, what do you do with all of your projects once they are finished? Give them as gifts, sell them, keep them? I just did a video on this. It depends. I think it's important to crochet with intention if you crochet a lot. Otherwise, you could end up with a lot of this stuff sitting around. If you're crocheting with gifts in mind, great. If it's going to be something that you take a lot of time to crochet and you want to give as a gift, make sure that you're giving it to somebody who will want it. Don't just assume that everybody loves crochet stuff as much as we do. Ripping off some more yarn or some fabric here. You can sell it if that was sort of your intention, like maybe you do the odd craft show or, you know, bazaar or something. That's fine too. You can donate them. Keep your ears to the ground. Some people, like, there are lots of organizations that also have like auctions and stuff to raise money, and sometimes they want crocheted goods, you know, like nice blankets or cute little toys, because sometimes the auctions, they want to have stuff on the tables that appeal to a whole lot of different people. And of course you can just keep it if you want. I have most of the stuff I've made in the last decade has been either given as a gift or I've kept it because I like it. I try to only make things that I like. I get a lot of requests to make a lot of things, and I do make a lot of the things that we get requests to make, but I only make the stuff I want. I don't bother spending the time and money and energy in a project that I know I'm not terribly interested in, even if other people are, because I think, well, what am I going to do with it? All right, so here is our little chicken body and head. It's pretty well stuffed. I think that's enough. I want her to be able to sit flat on her bottom. Tasha, member for 14 months, hello there, says, good morning, just sitting here relaxing with cat in my lap. Oh, that's a lovely way to spend a morning. Just love spending my Mondays with this community. I do too. It's just fabulous. And I like the option of making something quirky and cute with everybody too. I love that. Baking Mama of 3 says, can you use different things for safety eyes? I don't have any. Yeah, I don't use safety eyes at all. I use beads. Beads or buttons. In fact, today I'm using some of those pony beads for a couple of eyes. I'll pick out the colors in a minute. I don't use safety eyes in crochet because I don't trust safety eyes in crochet. Other people do. That's cool. But like I said, if you don't know where it's going, like if you're going to give it to a home with little kids or pets, assume that the safety eyes will be pulled out, because it's just easy to pull safety eyes out of crochet and knitting. I went through a phase many moons ago where I made teddy bears, actual teddy bears out of like fake fur, like real fake fur, like sewing. I sewed teddy bears. I made dozens and dozens and dozens of teddy bears, and I used safety eyes for them. So I do still have safety eyes in my collection, but I only use safety eyes in fabric or like leather and stuff like that, because it will not come out once it's been put in, not without a whole lot of like working at it. So I don't trust them in crochet and knitting, but if you're just going to have like a toy on display for an adult friend who's not going to pull the eyes out, it's fine. But like I said, I'm never entirely sure where my little stuffies are going to wind up, so I don't use them for safety eyes. I just use beads, because you can totally tie them in, you can sew them in, they're not going to come off. Dawn says, can you use French knots? I would say yes, especially for the little one. Maybe not so much with the big one, but why not experiment? Not a bad idea. Okay, let's close off the bottom of our chicken. Now that she's all stuffed, this is row 14. We're going to single crochet 2 stitches together 6 times. So that will put us all the way around. So that's stitch number 1 of row 14. Single crochet 2 stitches together 6 times total. That will take our stitch count down to 6. It will almost completely close the bottom of our chicken up, and then you've got 2 options to close up the hole that's left. And I'll talk about that in one momento. All right, I've got one little one to do, so I'll get that out of the way. Okay, so the next thing you can do to close up that hole is slip stitch into the next stitch and fasten off, weave your tail in around the bottom, cinch it shut, and then weave it in and out a few times to keep it from undoing. Or you can also slip stitch around the posts of those stitches at the end of the last row, all 6 of them, or just enough until the whole thing closes up. I like both options. Even if you do this second option where you slip stitch around the posts, I'm basically poking my hook in and then back out to pull the post of the stitch up. I like this because it creates a little bit of a flat kind of bottom for it to sit on. I think I did, what, 4 there? As long as it's mostly closed up, then you can fasten off. And same thing, you would just grab your yarn needle, thread up that tail, weave it around and around these last few stitches of the last row, and just kind of keep tugging gently to cinch any openings closed that may have appeared. The Mister is babysitting our very bouncy puppy. So if you're wondering where the Mister is, he's I can hear him saying no, no in the background. She's almost 6 months old. So every week she kind of develops or attempts to develop a new little habit. So anybody who's had puppies or children recognize that as they grow, they learn new things, and then they keep trying to push those boundaries, and it's just a constant state of love and discipline. And we don't like to crate her. If we're home, we try not to crate her at all. We like to keep her out and occupied, just because it's fun for her and it's fun for us. If she gets a little too crazy, she does get a timeout in her crate, and then she usually passes out and has a nap, so that's nice. But when necessary, we'll put her in the crate. But if we don't have to, then we usually just like to play with her, keep her reminded about what she is allowed to chew on and not allowed to chew on, etc. All right, so I have woven that tail in back and forth, back and forth. I've got a nice solid bottom. You can't see any stitching, or I should say any stuffing or anything through that. And best of all, she sits. Oh my gosh. Why are things made small and then large, and then why are they so funny? I don't know. That is just so cute. She's already got a bit of attitude. It looks like she's looking up. That's so cute. Okay, this is so darn cute. I love chickens. Chickens make me laugh. Okay, let's make a beak. So I've got some orange here. I'm going to use orange. You can use yellow. You can use whatever beak color you want. I'm going to just tie up a little bit of this. I don't want too much yarn flapping around. So beak next, and then I'm going to put the actual beak on. Here we go. So I'm just going to put her to the side. And I don't need any more stuffing, so I'll get it out of the way. Let's keep things a little tidy around here. All right, so take your beak color. I'm using orange. You can use yellow, whatever you want. Make a slip knot. We're going to chain 3. We're going to slip stitch into the second chain from the hook, so the very middle chain. Skip the first chain from the hook, slip stitch into the middle chain, and then you're going to single crochet into the last chain, and then we're going to do that whole little thing again. So chain 3, slip stitch into the second chain, single crochet into the next chain, and that's the beak. You have a couple options here. You can slip stitch into the first chain again, which is fine, and then fasten off, or just fasten off. Leave a little bit of tail for sewing. You really don't need that much. And you should have, so this little tail, this long tail, and something that looks a little bit like, when you fold it in half, you get a beak. Bark, bark, bark. And you can fold it in half whichever way you want. So I'm going to put my beak on immediately because oh my gosh. Ronald and Kathy Jones in the house. Happy Monday, you two. Thank you so much for the super generous super chat. Ronald and Kathy say, we love that little red-headed chick and our Canadian cousins. Happy to see that you were able to dig yourself out from that white stuff. Love always, Kathy and Ron. Thank you both so much. Yes, we dug out without too many injuries. I did slip and fall several times, but luckily I'm a graceful faller. Pick someplace in the middle of the head, thread up the long tail, and you can just run that needle underneath a couple of the stitches. Ronald and Kathy, concerned about our welfare. I really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. I'm going to poke my needle right through the very middle of the beak, and then I'm going to go over the other side and go back through the same stitches on the chicken. And if you are giving this to a small child or a pet, I would recommend doing it again. So I would come through here and then on the other side underneath. So I'm running it underneath the stitches, and I've sewn the beak down. And remember, when you are using amigurumi, or when you're making stuffed toys, you want to kind of shape as you go, right? So there we go. There's my little beak. Now I'm going to take these two ends, knot them together. I'm going to tie a knot as tightly as I can without snapping my yarn. And I'm going to pull those tails into the body of my chicken. So first I'll do the long one. I'm just literally going to that's one, and then through the same place I'm going to do the little tail. Cindy Ann, hello Cindy Ann. Cindy Ann has been a member for 53 months. Thank you, Cindy Ann. Cindy Ann says hello from South Africa. I love this channel. Thank you, Cindy Ann. Hello from Canada. I bet you do not have any snow where you are. I'm going to weave in my tails now. It's another thing I love about this community of ours. It's global. People are kind of dropping in from all over the place. And now we've got a happy little beak. Our little chicken has a few things to say. Cluck, cluck. All right. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. Okay. I'm going to do the eyes last. So adding the eyes is just basically sewing them on top of the beak or either side of the beak, wherever you want them. I'm going to do that in a minute. First, I'm going to do some of the rest of I'm going to do the wings. Then we're going to do the head comb, which is the little red part here. And I'm going to do that in pink. And then tail feathers. So let's make some wings. You want to make 2 wings, one for either side. They're both made identical. So let's just plunk these guys to the side here. The wings are 2 short rows. We're going to make a cinch circle. So cross your yarn, grab your yarn with your hook, chain 1 to secure it. Easy peasy. 4 single crochet into that cinch circle over top of that short tail. So 4 single crochet into your cinch circle, cinch it up nice and tight. We're not joining. We're going to work directly into what was the first stitch. You can work over top of your short tail or weave it in later. 2 single crochet into that first stitch. So 2 in the same place, 2 single crochet. And then chain 1 and into the next stitch 4 double crochet. 4 double crochet into the next stitch. So 2 single crochet in the first stitch, chain 1, and then 4 double crochet in the next stitch. And I'm using that fluffy yarn, so I'm a little bit slowed down, but that's okay. I feel like this makes a really cute little winglet shape. There we go. And that's it. That's the wing. You can fasten off, leave a little bit of tail for sewing. More importantly, so you're going to fasten off. There's your little winglet. It looks a bit like a nautilus. Weave that shorter tail in on the back. And if there's any left over, you can just sort of trim it. And then you're going to need to sew kind of down here. So you're going to take your long tail and you're just going to gently weave it down the side edge of that last double crochet. Try not to pull it, and then put it right down here. There we go. Because you will be sort of sewing these little stitches. You see that? So you'll start here and you'll just sew like, I don't know, 4 or 5 stitches all around. You're going to leave the little winglet open. You're not sewing it all down to the chicken because you want her to kind of have like little movement in her wings. So that's number 1. And now you're going to make another one exactly like it. Cinch circle, chain 1, 4 single crochet into the circle. Cinch up the circle after the 4 single crochet, knock over your chicken. Goodness me, Sue, thank you so much for picking up our ebook. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is on sale today in our Etsy shop, and it does contain, among other things, our little chicken. And of course, you can just substitute plush yarn and an 8mm hook. Goodness gracious, Jody, thank you for picking up a pattern. You can substitute the plush yarn and a large size 8mm hook, and you don't have to make any changes to the pattern. You just basically repeat the pattern as written and it upsizes completely. So here we go. That's joined with a, we're not joining, we're actually going to work 2 single crochet into the next stitch. I'm going to single crochet twice into this stitch. So 4 single crochet in the first row, cinch it shut, start the second row with 2 single crochet in the first stitch, chain 1, and then into the next stitch 4 double crochet. I'm working over top of that short tail just to make the weaving in process a little bit easier and faster. And there we go. 4 double crochet all in the same stitch. Fasten off, leave a little tail for sewing. You don't need too much. There we go. And weave your tail in. I'm going to weave it in on the other side because I want to use this wing in reverse. So I'm going to pull this through. All right. And just weave it through those few stitches. I can also trim this, pull it into the body of the chicken. It's entirely up to me when I get to that point. And I want to take my sewing yarn down the edge of that last double crochet to have it close to or in the first stitch of where I want to sew right here. And I'm careful not to pull too tightly. So that will be this wing. This will be this wing. You can sew them on right now if you want to. We're going to do a few little stitches and then we bring our yarn out through a common spot somewhere in the back and knot those two ends together. So there's no knotting on the actual chicken. So I'm going to stitch. I like that right there. I just run my hook or my stitch, my goodness, my needle underneath a stitch on the chicken and then one on the side of the wing. I'm going to keep my little wingtip up and then another over here and then another right here and then one here and maybe one more. I want most of the wing to sort of sit free because I think that's cute. There we go. Okay, so that's about 5. So then I take my yarn, you know what, I'll just take it through to the bottom. Pull it out through a common little stitch down here in the bottom. So now my little wing's on and it flaps, but it's secured with some stitching. And I do the same thing on the other side. So I get my wing on, making sure that it looks balanced from the back and then the front. Oh my goodness, Sharon, thank you so much for picking up the ebook. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Very much appreciated, everybody. It is on sneaky sale today. That looks pretty even. Okay, so I'm going to do first anchoring stitch, tuck that little tail in underneath, keep that wingtip pointed up and back so that it matches the other wing, and I kind of keep looking at it from the front and the back. So around about 4 or 5 stitches until I feel that it's more or less even. Maybe one more. One more. And then I'm going to bring this yarn out through the same hole or the same space, I guess I should use the word space, that the other sewing yarn came out of. There we go. So wings are both on. Then you knot those two tails together and you can pull that whole thing into the bird. And you can pull that pretty tightly, or not pretty tightly, I should say. There we go. And then I just wiggle my hook or my needle back and forth until the whole enchilada disappears. There we go. There. So those are my little wings on. Cluck, cluck, cluck. All right, let's do her head comb and then we'll do her tail feathers. I'm dying to get this pink yarn employed here. So I'm going to use pink. I don't have red, so I'm going to give her a pink comb, but I think that's appropriate because she's kind of going to be my Easter chicken. And here we go. Head comb. Take your head comb color, whether it's pink or red or whatever color you want to make it. Maybe she's a punk, so it's like, you know, purple or bright green or something. Who cares? It's your chicken. It's a punk chicken. I think I like that. I might have to make a punk chicken. Make a slip knot, chain 6. So 6 chains. We're going to slip stitch into the second chain from the hook. So here's the first one, here's the second one. I'm slip stitching into the second chain. I'm going to slip stitch into the third chain, and then I'm going to do a combination of stitches in the same chain. So slip stitch into the third chain from the hook, and into the same chain, you're going to chain 1, half double crochet, chain 1, and slip stitch all into the same chain. So you're making like you're making this, you're making a little bloop, and then we're going to do another bloop, and then another little bloop, and yes, that's a technical term. We're going to slip stitch into the next stitch along that chain, and we're going to make a slightly larger bloop, chain 1, double crochet into the same chain, chain 1, and slip stitch. You're making a bloop. Slip stitch into the next chain along. You'll have 2 chains left. We're making the smaller bloop, chain 1, half double crochet in the same place, chain 1 and slip stitch in the same place, and then slip stitch into the last or 6th chain along, and you've got a little head comb, a little bloopy head comb. It looks like that. Leave yourself a little bit of tail for sewing. We can put this on right away as well. Why not? Bloop, 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 says Penelope. Yes. Crocus, we should name her. Let's get a name for her as soon as we're done, because I feel like sometimes as soon as the eyes are on, the little character kind of comes to life. So you want to make sure that you are putting your comb on like a mohawk, right? So it's going around across the top middle of the head, and I aligned it up to be on top, directly above the beak. And I find the middle bloop sits comfortably on the top middle of the first row. And I'm going to, so here's my beak. I'm going to travel up. Here's a stitch right directly in alignment for the forehead. And I'm going to put my first sewing stitch in there, and then I'm going to go through the bottom of that first chain right next to that stitch. And then I kind of move everything out of the way. This gets easier. Again, I'm looking at keeping the beak. I'm going up in a straight line, and I'm going right through the next spot. And then I'm going to go through the next chain and the bottom of the head comb. You can use some of the stitches twice in the same place. So now I'm going through the top middle and underneath the middle bloop. And it moves less and less. You just kind of keep making sure that you're going in a straight line. You have to maybe move the comb out of the way. And that's how we do it all the way around. I'm going down the middle back now. And maybe one more back here. There we go. Now, I like to take my needle, run it right back out the front, so underneath the head, right out where it started. Knot those 2 ends together and then pull them into the head of the chicken. This just makes the knot small, it disappears. You can push that knot right through a space in the stitches, or push your needle through and thread both of those tails up and pull them in at the same time. There we go. I am constantly shaping and reshaping to kind of make sure that I don't stretch or pull anything in the direction that I don't want it to go. And same thing, I can just wiggle my needle back and forth until those tails get pulled in and disappear. There we go. So there's my pink comb. Oh my gosh, I think that's really cute. So I've got a pink comb on my chicken. You know those chickens where they would put like in the cartoons where they'd take a rubber dishwashing glove and they'd pull it over top of something to look like a chicken comb? That's what that reminds me of. That's just funny. So a little more squishing to kind of give her a nice little shape. All right, she needs tail feathers and eyeballs, and then our little chicken is done. Look at the size difference. Size 4 medium weight yarn, G6 hook. Size 6 super bulky blanket yarn, L11 or an 8mm hook. Nice big size difference. Hello, Vima! Vima with a super sweet super sticker. Thank you, Vima. Cluck cluck to Vima in the chat. Thank you, thank you. All right, let's make ourselves a little tail feather so we can wiggle our tail feathers. Back to my white yarn. I'll just turn these ladies along so they can kind of look at each other. Maybe have a little gab fest here. Okay, tail feathers. Nice and simple. Take your white yarn or whatever colors you want to make your tail feathers in. Make a slip knot. Chain 4. 3 of these chains count as a double crochet. Into that first chain, double crochet 4 times. Hello, Cheryl! Cheryl's been a member for 29 months. Thank you, Cheryl. Cheryl says, what about Egwina, the Easter chick for her name? Egwina. Oh, that's cute. It's very refined. I like it. Egwina. Egwina. That's cute. I like it. So that's a chain 4 double crochet into the first chain. That gives you 5 stitches all the way across. Chain 1, turn, and single crochet in each of those 4 double crochets. We're also going to single crochet in the top of the 3 chains. And that is her simple little tail feathers. There we go. It's basically a little fan. Leave yourself some sewing yarn. You don't need too much. You're going to, same thing, take that long sewing tail and weave it down the edge to come out at the bottom, because that's where you're going to anchor it. So I'm just going to wiggle my needle through the edges of that stitch, pull that sewing tail all the way down, and then again, reshape. Don't want to pull anything out of alignment. Egwina, that's cute. I like that. Okay, and then you're just going to sew it to the back. Look at your chicken, flip her upside down, decide where you want her little tail. Obviously it's going to go right near the bottom of her little bottom. And I'm going to sew it by going kind of through the same couple of stitches. You could sew like up the side a little bit and then maybe sew down sort of the bottom of the other stitch. Just you know, you're just sewing a little bit across the bottom because again, you want to leave the tail feathers free. So I'll do one more little stitch over here. And then same little technique. I'm going to bring it out in the middle. I'm going to knot those 2 tails together. When you can, always knot 2 tails together in the same relative space and then pull them into the body of your amigurumi. This just makes sure that you're knotting off your sewing yarn and it's really secure, and it basically makes an invisible knot because you can pull the whole thing into the body of your amigurumi, and it's just a really nice finishing touch. Keeps all the knots on the inside of the work. It makes sewing down little extra pieces pretty easy. There we go. So we've got little tail feathers. We've got little wingtips. She looks like she's, oh my gosh, she's got a lot to say. Her mouth doesn't close much, but she's a chicken. Chickens talk a lot. We've got our little comb on. This might be my favorite chicken of all time. And of course you can squeeze and press your chicken into shape. Let's give this sweetheart a pair of eyes. So I'm done with my hook. I'm done with my yarn needle. I'm going to get into my big jar of pony beads. And I mean, black was going to be my first, my first suggestion, because I feel like I'm already laughing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think black. Any other color and they kind of look a little weird. Like there's purple. They just don't look like they've got soul. I guess when you use black, it looks like they've got pupils, which gives it kind of like a depth and character. Like it's kind of like, it looks a little bit more alive. So I'm going to go with 2 black pony beads because I feel like that's the easiest thing. I like the look of the black beads the best. All right. And I'm going to sew it down using some crochet thread because crochet thread is nice and strong. It's cotton. Of course you can use a needle and thread, of course, but since this is bigger beads on thicker yarn, I'm going to use my crochet thread, and that will definitely make sure that they are well attached and not going anywhere. So I'm going to thread up my crochet thread, and let's decide where these eyes are going to go. So I think they should sit up a little higher on her, above her beak. I could put them right next to her beak. It's funny how you can change the look. I think those look good right there. Yeah, all right, right there. So I'm going to take my yarn needle and I'm going to bring the thread in from the top out where, let's see, where did I want that? I want it out in the same place. I'm going to leave some yarn, or some thread in this case, up top because I'm going to do that whole knotting thing again. Eyeball number 1 goes in, and I want to make sure that it stays here. So that means that I've got to go around a neighboring stitch because I don't want to pull it back into the bird. I'm going to bring my needle out across her face where I want her other eye to sit. And I'm going to do that bead. And when you're sewing on beads or eyes or buttons or whatever it is that you're using for eyes, each stitch can be used to secure the eyes. So I'm going to go back out the other side and sew her eye down again. But you can pull tightly, pull not so tightly. What you're doing every single time is making sure that you're putting the eyes in a position that you want them to be in. So don't rush through this part. And I want her eye to kind of turn a little bit, so what if I go down here? Yeah, there we go. Pull just enough, just tightly enough that I know it's not gonna, like I want to secure the eye, but I don't want to change its positioning. I'm gonna come out here again, and okay. I'm gonna go through this way, and then I'm gonna go under here, and then I'm gonna do one more through this side. Yeah, that feels nice and snug. And I'm going to go through that yarn. I'm going to bring my needle now out through the exact same place that I originally brought it in to the chicken. Make sure my eyes. Okay. Take those two ends, knot them very tightly, 2 or 3 times, because this is small thread and I definitely don't want it to come undone. I am in love with this little chicken. I'm going to put my needle back in my needle book so I don't lose it, and then I can use my bigger yarn needle to pull these little guys into the chicken and they will disappear. That's 1, and that's 2. There we go. All right. So, what's her name, everybody? Is it Edwina? She's got quite a, oh my gosh, I love her bright pink comb. So, little mini version, size 4 medium weight yarn, 4mm hook or G6. Big version, size 6 super bulky weight yarn and an 8mm hook. Let's measure her. Let's see how big she is. Okay, from top of her comb to her sitting bottom, she's 8 inches tall. So she's a full double the size of the little one. 8 inches tall. I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh. I love making toys. This is one of my favorite things to do in crochet. Just, I wish I had more reasons to make toys because they amuse and delight me so very much. This chicken's hilarious. And she looks like a chicken. She's got a proper head and a little roosting bottom. She's got little tail feathers. She's got little wingtips, a pretty little proud comb, and she's got a very chirpy little beak. So she has lots to say. And of course she's got eyes. I don't think it matters what size you make these little chickens. They are definitely going to brighten somebody's day. All right, so we've got Chicolette, Mabel, Pinky, Filet. I like Edwina. I think I like Egwina. I think that's really cute. I like plays on words. That's really cute. Chicolettes. I like that too. Pinky is cute. Mabel. I love the name Mabel. Chicoletta. I like that. Baking Mama 3 wonders where the needles are from. They come in sets of 3. They're called wool needles. They're sold anywhere yarn is sold. So I've found them at Walmart, in the yarn station. I found them in department stores in the crafting section. They're available on Amazon. Wherever, if you're shopping online, just type in aluminum wool needle and they'll pop up. I buy Kid, HA Kid needles. They're the best in my opinion, but Pony makes a great set. Other brands, other trusted brands that you know, make really good aluminum wool needles. But I've had 2 sets by HA Kid, and I'm still using the set that I got over 30 years ago. And I finally broke one about 6 months ago, the little one that I used to pieces. I finally snapped the little eye, and that was after 30 years of almost daily use. So highly recommend. Did somebody say gravy? Jessica Rabbit. Filet, Edna, oh I like that. No feet, Penny. She sits on her little bum like she's roosting. You can't see chicken feet when they're roosting. Egwina, I still like that. Egwina. Egberta, that's a good one too. Henny Penny, that's so cute. Henny Penny, I like that. Edna. Okay, you know what? Let me write these down and then I'll do a poll in the posts tab of our YouTube channel a little later today. And we'll name her that way because I think I like that. So I'm going to write these names down here. Let's see. We've got Egwina. Egwina. Henny Penny. I like that. We've got Egberta. Natasha, thank you so much for picking up the pattern. Egberta, I like that. Henny Penny. Chicoletta, I like that too. Chicoletta. Pinky. Krista really likes Pinky. Egna, that's cute too. Anything with egg in it, I think, is just adorable. Egwina, Egbert, Egna. Have I got everybody? I think so. Edda, I like that. Edna, Edda, Philae, Edna. Okay, those are so cute. All right, so we're gonna have a little post, a little fun post poll later today. I will be making more versions of her in this super plushy yarn because I just love how she turned out so very much. And also I want to make some using some of my fun Easter colors because I think it would just be cute to have a little Easter set of these chickens. What a cute toy. So soft, fluffy, cute, very amusing. They have a fun little bit of character. If you are visiting anybody for Easter this year, this might be a fun little treat, big or small, to bring them as a little thank you for hosting Easter. And if you know kids, you know, again, if you're going to make them for a child and you want to use safety eyes, age 6 and over. Otherwise, I recommend sewing in the eyes really well, whether you use buttons or beads. You could even stitch on, you could use Katina. Thank you so much for picking up a pattern. You could use sewing like a little felt circles if you wanted to. You can get really creative with the eyes, but I just recommend that you sew them in very well. And no, you can't glue them. So if you're giving this as a toy, you really shouldn't be using glue because glue can become unstuck. It can lose its gluiness. It can also be pulled apart because glue doesn't stick forever to yarn. So sewing is better, and sew around the yarn stitches because that way it won't come out without a whole lot of tugging and pulling, which is like, you know, pet level. So no for pets. I don't recommend them for pets. But I do recommend them for humans because they're so cute. And remember, once you've finished with your amigurumi, always take the opportunity to squish them into shape. Sue, thank you for upgrading very much. Welcome to silk level. Mabel, thank you. I will not forget Mabel. I will list Mabel also. I'm just quickly reading through the chat here. Rotisserie. Oh my gosh, you guys are so funny. Okay. That is it for today's video. Thank you so much for tuning into the live chat. I hope you made a chicken with me. If you did, please send me a photo at the Etsy shop. Link is in the description box. You can just click on message seller, open a message thread, and you can click, if you're on a mobile device, click on the little camera icon at the bottom of your screen that lets you take a picture or upload a picture. If you're on a computer or a laptop, you click on the little landscape button that's in the top right-hand corner of the message box, and that will let you upload a photo as well. I'd love to have a few of these to share in the post once we do the little name poll this afternoon, and look forward to that. So anyway, I gotta take some photographs of these lovely ladies. I definitely want to work my way through all of the characters in our Farm Friends play set series. So if you've purchased the ebook, thank you so much. It's our 10th anniversary of that pattern series, and we want to definitely work our way through them because I just love them. One of them is a horse, there's a cow, there's a pig, and I'm steadily upgrading. I'm sort of refreshing those older patterns. So once the pattern is refreshed, it will go up on the same listing, and you should be able to re-download the most updated pattern. If you ever have any trouble with that, just message me and I will help you through it. That is what I do at the shop. I help people with their downloads. I help them with our patterns. And it's my pleasure to do so because you guys are the reason we're here. So thank you so much for hanging out. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Cluck, cluck. And we will see you all Friday. And keep an eye on the posts tab. We will have all sorts of fun little things happening all this week, especially for our members. And March is right around the corner. Have a great week. Stay safe, stay crafty, stay cozy, and have a sense of humor when you crochet. It's the best part of crochet. We'll see you guys real soon.